there was always this sort of drive, for Rachel and I both to get back to our creative roots. That was what this was always about. We just felt that if we could figure out a way to invest in infrastructure that it would create a broader, sort of richer ecosystem for us to be able to actually thrive as storytellers. The way that Prairie Surf Creative kind of came about, it's kind of, there are two different pieces to Prairie Surf Creative. One is sort of an IP content development, and then the others is shooting videos for clients that have video needs. Those video needs for us in our minds are, it's high-end video, high-end sophisticated storytelling. So we see ourselves as kind of just the lead storytellers in the state. And the way that this part of the business came about, if you followed our launch at all, we released a trailer to a film called The Jewel, which is a documentary about the Jewel Theater in Northeast Oklahoma City. Well, the idea for the whole creative agency came about really when Councilwoman Nikki Nice had a conversation with Rachel and myself, as well as Christian Kennedy, our other partner, and in it she'd expressed concern about this theater that was very old. It was the last freestanding theater that came from the era of Deep Deuce, when the east side of town was thriving. Well, all those buildings that were part of Deep Deuce, there's still a Deep Deuce district, but none of the buildings exist. They're all gone. And so is the culture, except for this one building, this one theater, and this theater is called The Jewel. So our conversation with her was, hey, is there a way to make like a little video or something that could help get the story out, like put it on Facebook or whatever. And so as we started kind of talking about it and the significance of this theater, it became really clear that like a 3 to 5 minute, hype sizzle fundraising video wasn't going to be the thing. There was really like a documentary that needed to be told here. And in my former life as a documentary filmmaker, we talk about Oklahoma stories that need to be told. And my partner at the time, we made documentaries about Pawhuska and the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we did one about the Paseo District and Oklahoma Storm Chasers, all these sort of notable areas. And we'd float around this idea of making a documentary about Deep Deuce, and whereas most of the stories we told had really positive endings, the Deep Deuce story kind of ended with urban renewal kind of taking out Deep Deuce, and now it's not really there anymore except for the Dan Davis law firm sign, and a bunch of expensive townhomes. Well, telling the story of the Jewel was a way to tell the story of Deep Deuce. And what was also cool about it is that there's all this really great development that's going on in Northeast Oklahoma City. So you've got everything that's happening at East Point with Scrambled and with Kindred Spirits. You've got JB and Quentin Hughes and everybody kind of building this amazing ecosystem over there. A theater is vibrant, and a theater sort of helps perpetuate that culture that's really emerging on the northeast side of town. So we thought, let's try to make a documentary about this. So we did, and we interviewed all kinds of really cool people. Quentin and JB being a couple that were interviewed. Councilwoman Nikki Nice. We interviewed a historian named Anita Hill, who's amazing, as well as Arthur Hurst, and Vanessa Morrison, who is kind of lead charge on restoring the Jewel. So the idea is that we would make a film. That film would then have an impact and create awareness, and hopefully that awareness creates a desire to actually invest in saving the theater. I think the other thing that's of note, when you think about the sort of disinvestment that's happened on that side of town, particularly around 4th Street, you have Paige Woodson, and there's a lot of development that's sort of beginning to happen. But theaters are the backbones of communities, and if you look at the cool areas in Oklahoma City, look at 23rd Street. Think about 23rd Street before Tower Theater. It wasn't the 23rd Street we know now. Look at Rodeo Cinema and the way that theater set up in the Stockyard City took the Stockyards from being the place where Cattleman's was, and you could buy boots, to like a place that's really cool and people want to be. I think you could make the same case even for the Yale Theater, and while it's not a movie theater, it's a theater venue that has shown films. We premiered Tulsa King there. Yeah. And it's brought all this attention to Southwest 25th Street. So if we thought, well, gosh, if you could figure out how to save this Jewel Theater, you're not just saving it for the sake of historic preservation, but you're connecting it to a more meaningful future. Well, there's real value in that. So let's use the tool of film and independent filmmaking as a sort of a launching point to start the narrative around saving the theater. So that's kind of what that project has been about.